This guy looks mega cool.
Welcome to Autobot Arcade.
Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. Autobot Arcade here, bringing you another Transformers review. This time it's the Transformers Studio Series 86 Megatron. But before we do, don't forget to follow us on Instagram and Facebook at Autobot Arcade and Autobot Arcade Reviews. But without further ado, let's get into this review. For the packaging, we have that nice window on the front with some digital renders of Megatron in both his robot mode and tank mode, and the Studio Series logo down the bottom. The digital renders of him wrap round onto the side, and then on the back of the box we have him in vehicle mode as well as in robot mode, and some pictures of some of the accessories. And then on the final side of the box we have another nice big picture of Megatron himself. And here he is out of the packaging. But before we take a closer look at him, who is Decepticon Megatron?
Megatron is known as the leader of the Decepticons, but before he became a fierce, ruthless and terrifying leader, he was a gladiator in the underground fighting arenas on Cybertron. Eventually, he begins to rally other oppressed Cybertronians against the elitist ruling class. However, his rebellion turns violent, and he founds the Decepticons, igniting the Great War with the Autobots. Originally, he turned into a gun and used mass shifting to get smaller so other Decepticons could use him as a weapon. But in later media, he turns into tanks and jets instead.
And here he is in robot mode, and they absolutely knocked it out of the park with this guy. He looks just like the cartoon and has a commanding presence on the shelf. He's mainly cast in this grey plastic, as he should be, but he does have some black on the waist area and hands, and some bluish grey for the lower legs and the stripe on the foot. And he does have some other brighter colours thrown in all around him, as we will see in a bit. Getting in for a closer look though, and you can really see all that awesome sculpted detail they packed into this guy. Turning him around to look at the back, he is looking very clean and accurate to the cartoon model. The biggest problem here is the back of the legs, which is where the treads of the tank mode go. But seeing as that's what this guy turns into, they need to go somewhere. And on the back of the legs, you're not really going to see it. And looking at the rest of him, you wouldn't really be able to tell he turns into a tank. So this is just a minor nitpick of mine. But moving further up, and he has literally no backpack at all. On the back there is the barrel that is accurate to the show, and some portholes for the weapons. Turning him around, and I thought that maybe the leg colour was a bit off at first and might stand out a bit, but having him here in hand, it's really not that bad, and in the show they are a slight different shade. So I think really it just depends on the lighting you have him in. Moving up to the chest and abdomen area, I really like all the different button and light looking things, again accurate to the show. I have no idea what they're for, but they look good and the paint used on them stands out and looks great. There's a really nice Decepticon logo in the middle of his chest, and they even painted some red on the elbow area of his arms. And finally up to his head. Like with a lot of the old G1 designs, he has a bucket head and it looks really good and like it's been ripped right out of the screen. The bucket part is the same grey plastic as most of the figure, but the faceplate is a slightly lighter grey with nice red eyes that seem to look into your soul, and they have some black around them just to make them really pop. The expression is a really good choice and definitely looks like him, but I do just wish there was a way that we could get some other faceplates so we could have some other iconic Megatron expressions. But overall he looks great from all angles, and so far is definitely the Megatron we have all been waiting for to command the rest of our Decepticons. Inside the box, as with all Transformers figures, we get the instruction manual, and as for accessories we get a pretty nice spread. First up we have his sword that he uses to fight Optimus in the 86 movie. It's a decent size and painted pretty well, with the blade being a nice pink and the crossguard being purple. The handle is not painted but does have some sculpted grip lines on it. The blade is not removable, but it doesn't really need to be. Next up we have this gun. which is supposed to be him in his accurate alt mode and looking very nice and cartoony. The main blaster is just grey plastic, but the barrel and sight are both painted black, and there's a mini Decepticon logo on one side of it. There is some nice sculpting on both the barrel and sight to give it a more realistic look. Next we have this barrel piece. This is just cast out of grey plastic, but it does have some line work sculpted into it to give it some more depth. There is a hole at the front to attach some blast effects, but that's more for in tank mode, and there is a paw and hinge at the bottom, which we'll use in a minute. And finally we have his main weapon, his signature arm cannon. Looking very cool, mainly all done in black, but there is one tiny bit of red paint on the top. There's a lot of detail sculpted in here, and the shape of it is looking really cool and very accurate to the cartoon. Just like with the barrel piece, there is a hole at one end of it for blast effects, but on this accessory it seems to be a bit recessed, so it might be quite hard to get some effects in there. But bringing in the figure, we can take the cannon and attach it to the arm like so. The smaller barrel piece can use the hinge port piece to connect to either one of these two holes on the back, and the sword and gun can use their respective ports to connect to the remaining holes on the back. But they can both also be put into his hands. Watching out on the sword as it is quite tight of a grip, and I am potentially worried of the thumb breaking in the future. And obviously the gun wouldn't be wielded by him as it is supposed to be him in his more accurate mode and the right size, but it still looks pretty cool when he is holding it. And when you have him all loaded up, he looks mean and ready for a fight. For articulation, the head can spin all the way around, as well as look up and down slightly, and tilt side to side. The arms can come out this far, back this far, and forwards this far. There's a butterfly joint. There is a swivel at the upper arm, and a single jointed elbow. There's a rotation at the wrist, and we even have some finger articulation. There's a waist swivel, and if you move this piece out of the way, the legs can come out this far, back this far, and forwards this far. There's a swivel at the upper leg, and a single jointed knee. There's a nice ankle rocker, and the feet can come forwards, and due to transformation, the toes can go up and down as well. For some robot mode size comparisons, here he is next to the Transformers Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, the Transformers Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, the Gamer Edition Ratchet, the G1 Commander Class Optimus Prime, and I do think that maybe I would have liked Megatron to be slightly taller, as I usually picture him being a bit more towering over Optimus, but they still look good next to each other. The New Age Optimus Prime, the Marvel Legends Sam Wilson Captain America, and finally Star Wars Black Series Shaq-T. But without further ado, let's get down to transformation. And here he is in alt mode. Oh wait, hang on. That's the right alt mode. As you can see, he doesn't turn into the gun, which would be more accurate, but this is probably better for a figure. And he wouldn't really scale too well if he did turn into the gun. But for a tank alt mode, it doesn't look too bad. It cleans up well and looks like a fairly realistic tank. Just like in robot mode, he's mainly just grey plastic, but he is a tank, so I'm fine with that. You can see the blue parts of the legs at the back, but it doesn't take anything away from the look. He does have some black for the main cannon on the top, and some more grey for the barrel of the cannon. And the treads on the bottom also have some nice black paint on them, making them stand out from the rest of the wheel and chassis. And speaking of wheels, he does actually have some faux ones on the underside, so he can actually roll out onto the battlefield. The biggest issue for me is that the turret on the top rotates from the back rather than from the middle. So it looks a bit odd when spinning it, but it can still go all the way around if you lift it up a bit and over the bump at the back. And the other problem is that it doesn't rise up. You can lift it slightly, but that is just me bending it up at the joints, so there's no actual hinge to lift it, so you probably don't want to do this too much or risk breaking it by accident. The chest does become the front of the tank, so he has the nice Decepticon logo right slap bang in the middle of his alt mode for all to see as he's charging at them. Bringing in the accessories, the cannon and barrel are obviously already attached, but the smaller gun can be plugged in up here on the turret using the handle, and the blade can be put on here at the side using the port on the side of the blade. But there is also some other ports on the top and on the side that either weapon can be placed into around the figure. Overall, it's a pretty decent alt mode. Would I have rather had a more accurate alt mode? Yes, but this is a nice substitute, and I'm glad they prioritised making the robot mode look as good as possible. For some vehicle mode size comparisons, here he is next to the Transformers Rise of the Beast Bumblebee, the Transformers Rise of the Beast Optimus Prime, the Gamer Edition Ratchet, the Commander Class G1 Optimus Prime, and I do think looking at it here, Megatron should maybe be slightly bigger, the New Age Optimus Prime, the Marvel Legends Sam Wilson Captain America, and the Star Wars Black Series Shaq-T. And that wraps up our review of the Transformers Studio Series 86 Leader Megatron, a much needed upgrade to go alongside the 86 Optimus. With an awesome and very accurate looking robot mode, and though not accurate to the cartoon, a decent looking tank alt mode. So from me it's a thumbs up and a must have for the collection. But before he blasts his way out of this review and back to the war on Cybertron, don't forget to hit the thumbs up, click the subscribe button if you want to see more Transformers reviews, and if you enjoyed this review, why not leave a comment down below and tell me what you think of this guy. And until next time, transform and roll out.